Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, we are idly waiting for a KD trade to come down. We've been talking about the stakes. Let's get straight to the point. The stakes, most of all, are the future of Devin Booker. That's what this KD trade is about, bottom line. What has to happen to feel better about number one's future after this trade? Next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen here on this Thursday. Don't forget, Locked On Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Just click that follow or subscribe button. Do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer. Get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the app today. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. We've got a lot to talk about. The stakes of the KD trade. The biggest stakes. Our favorite wild card. Durant trades, plus another draft breakdown. Joining me to do it, as always, from the Wild West Valley, my fellow Suns credentialed media member. How are we feeling? Ben Garcia.
Exhausted. I do got to say, though, people love your, today on Locked On Phoenix Suns. Your today was really, really solid today. Almost gave me like a jolt. But what keeps weighing me down is this Kevin Durant stuff, man. Like, we need a deal to happen soon. And the longer it waits, I think the more it leads me to believe, damn, they might not be getting much back for this guy, which I know everyone in the comment section has been trying to tell us that. But I mean, they just want us to do a show, Brendon, that's like the Suns aren't going to get anything for KD. Good night. Thank you for watching Locked On Suns. They don't want us to explore these avenues. So we're just wrong all the time.
We got to talk in every single circle and angle that we can. I still think if the benchmark is at least one pick, one young player, and one vet for money's sake, I've been saying that all along. I still feel decent about it, but we're going to get through a lot of the different permutations later. Yeah. Let's start with the Booker side of this, because we talked a little yesterday of, hey, did the Suns overestimate the market? Did they think there was going to be more of an aggressive pursuit from all of these teams than there actually seems to be? We'll see what the answer to that is when the trade comes down, but if that's the case, and maybe what you just said ends up being true, which is it's an underwhelming package and maybe not even all the boxes I just laid out even get checked, you really start to worry about Devin Booker. I mean, we're already worried about Devin Booker's future, but that is really what this is all about. And so if you're worried about the KD trade, you kind of have to be worried about Booker's future as well right now.
Well, petrified, man. It's why when I see Arizona Sports tweet out, whoever it is that said this, but it was prepare to be underwhelmed by a Kevin Durant trade. It's not just being underwhelmed by a Kevin Durant trade. Brendon, they have to get this right. They need to get it right. Now, we're not saying, Brooks and Jabari Smith and Tari Eason and a first-round pick. We're saying what you said. I think this have always been the fair expectations. I've always been a little bit more overly optimistic, playing that kind of role of maybe you can get back 2 firsts. Maybe you can do Gobert, DiVincenzo, Dillingham, and the 17th overall pick in this year's draft. But we cannot act like this doesn't directly affect everything down the line. If they get the 14th overall pick and Devin Vassell and Harrison Barnes for Kevin Durant, damn, man, that team's not going to be competitive next year. And if that's the case, I laid this out for everyone today, and I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but the Lakers just got a new owner. Ownership likes to make new splashes. They will have their eye on Devin Booker next year if it goes horribly wrong, but it's not just him. I don't want to just key it in on them. The Rockets have been flirting with him for years. Who knows?
I mean,
and so
he's a
we can't act
28-year-old, 27 going on 28-year-old superstar scorer. The whole league would call, right? I mean, I think that Book, I think it's worth saying though, what does nailing this KD trade in the context of Booker's future mean? And I actually think people have kind of been laughing at the Suns with the idea that they're going for more win now pieces, because I think it's easy to mock the Suns, and I do it plenty. They've earned it. But this idea of like, well, what they really need is a rebuild. I can't believe they're going after vets or, guys on their second contracts, third contracts, and who are already established, rather than shooting for a lottery chip, not a lottery pick necessarily, but you know what I mean? Like a guy who can be the next cornerstone. Well, they have to, we've already said since the day that Book said, I'm going to be more vocal going forward, and poured some gasoline on the Mike Budenholzer situation, we've thought everything from that point up until the moment when they ultimately, get back into the second round of the playoffs or have to trade him, it's all catered toward at least putting a respectable product around this guy that he is okay with, that he is happy with, and that can take him to the heights that he rightfully wants to be in entering his 30s. So I don't blame the Suns for at least thinking long and hard about, hey, could Rudy Gobert make sense, as crazy as that might sound? Or, I don't like how RJ Barrett has developed as a player, but he's better than Devin Vassell right now, probably, whatever. So that's part of what has always made this so fascinating and different than other, like when Portland traded Lillard a couple years ago, they were just dumping Damian Lillard on whatever to get as much as they possibly could back and reset their team. This is not that. It's just hard for when people say things like, and it's mostly Kevin Durant fanboys, is like, Kevin Durant's going to decide where he gets to go. Like, I get that if your team is well off and you're going to be fine and you have other assets and life can be good after Kevin Durant. But what would the Suns do to serve trading Kevin Durant to his preferred destination, getting squat for it, and then ultimately lose Devin Booker? Like, oh man, we kept the relationship. That's awesome. But like, we just screwed over our actual franchise player. It's why the Suns have to continue to seek out to find the right deal, because, dude, they cannot mess this up, and they just might. And let's say they do mess it up. Let's say they get Jabari Smith. Well, I guess that's not a mess up, but let's say they do the Spurs trade, right? And you get Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell, and the 14th overall pick. You then put so much pressure on nailing that 14th overall pick, whereas the Timberwolves package, you get back Rob Dillingham, and he could be awesome. And you're like, well, they missed with the 17th overall pick, but they did well with 29. They did well with Rob Dillingham. You put so much pressure, man, to nail that pick. And your team is more competitive next year because you have a Hall of Fame center on your roster. And that's the other part of it. So, yeah,
It's why the wildcard teams are so interesting, by the way. Like, we'll get to it in just a second.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. Like, I don't think it's about the relationship. I don't think the idea of trading him to his preferred destination is about making Rich Kleiman happy. I think that or the reputation that they have around the NBA and those types of big picture things. I think sending him to his preferred destination is about negotiating with the team that sees Kevin Durant as a 3-year player versus a 1-year player. The problem that we might be getting closer to is, are the offers from the teams that do get him for 3 years that he is willing to extend with actually not that much better even than the teams that only see him as a 1-year player, which kind of feels like where we're at right now, where that Spurs offer, even though he would extend in San Antonio from everything we've heard, may not actually be that much better than the Minnesota offer, even though he will not extend in Minnesota. So that's part of the problem, is there's not that big of a distinction anymore. But a lot of people have said that the Suns should trade Booker now. I guarantee you, if all they get back is Vassell and a mediocre rookie, they're just going to be right. They were already right. The Suns, in theory, in a vacuum, quote unquote, should trade Book right now, but they're not gonna. And if they don't ace this, then they'll just be 1 year too late, probably.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to go towards next. We just saw what the Magic had to trade for Desmond Bane. I think we can both agree Devin Booker's a better player than Desmond Bane. And I think if we thought Desmond Bane was going to be that certified 1 or 2, we would have already known it by now. Booker already, right? Is already worth minimum 4 first-round picks, 5 if you include the pick swap. Like, the market is there. Do you
You're
think...
talking about the Mitchell trade probably as a comp at that point. Like a
Sure.
lot of stuff.
Sure, right? If we are talking about the Suns getting back Stu Gotts, the 14th overall pick, in Devin Vassell, do you think Devin Booker looks at that and says, hey, man, sorry, I don't want to lose. Do you think he even gives it another year looking at the roster if the Suns botch this KD trade? Or do you think he will still give it another year and they end up potentially trading him next year? Or do you think they can hit DEFCON 1 and do it now?
No, I don't think it's going to happen now, because at this point it would be strategically a mistake for Booker to do it. One, we have to remember he has a life-changing amount of money per year coming to him in the extension that is on his plate. And by the time the Suns have sorted out the Kevin Durant trade, let's say it's still ahead of draft week, but maybe not this week like we thought. The offseason isn't fully materialized, but it'd be better to do it on, the week after the Suns get eliminated, or at least like early June. I just don't think teams have been preparing for the idea of getting Devin Booker, and therefore his options would be more limited. But if you told me it blew up by February instead of even getting to the next summer, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, the Suns listened to offers for KD surprisingly this past year and did the same thing. So, yeah, the clock will absolutely be ticking by each game if they can't click and gel and play well this upcoming season with what they get back.
I would agree with you, man. I just thought it was the most pressing question of like where. Yeah. I mean, listen, man. It's not just you can be underwhelmed. Like, this has got more to it than just getting back assets. Like, we're trying to keep Booker happy too, and we cannot take his patience for granted.
Let's get to our favorite wild card trades. If the Suns are in this quote-unquote phase 2 of the negotiations, as Sam Amick of The Athletic dubbed it today, where they're more willing to listen off of not only his list, but even maybe the bundle of teams that they've been thinking about, that we've all been talking about for the past week or two. What does that look like? Who could crop up, and what's the best package? Next. First, today's show is brought to you by Olipop, a new kind of soda, made for people who love the classic taste of soda but want something that supports their health. With just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can, Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that's better for your gut. Traditional sodas are loaded with sugar, 39 grams in a regular Coke, 44 in an orange Fanta, but Olipop flips that script with just a fraction of that sugar. No artificial sweeteners and gut-friendly ingredients like their Ollie Smart Blend, which is shown to support digestive and overall health. It's soda that tastes like the real thing but actually does something good for your body. My favorite flavor of Olipop, we've gotten a bunch to try. I always lean toward the fruit type options from Olipop, if I'm being honest. The orange is pretty good. The grape, the fruit punch, kind of just tastes like carbonated juice, and it helps your insides work and feel better. It's kind of perfect. It's not going to make you sick, but it's a sweet little, treat. Makes you think of the real thing and doesn't have all those harmful effects. So get a free can of Olipop. Just buy any 2 cans in store, and they'll reimburse you for the next one. Head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can when you buy the first one, and find Olipop where it's sold near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Ben, let's keep it rolling. I thought it was a good way of framing it today in the clip that I mentioned heading into the break, where Sam Amick, the Athletics NBA reporter, called it phase 2 of the negotiations. The Suns are saying, we're open for business. Come one, come all. We know his list is Miami and Houston and San Antonio. We know Minnesota's interested, but he doesn't want to go there. Heck, we've probably even heard some offers from the Raptors that are pretty extensive at this point. But is there anyone else out there in the weeds waiting that might want to just send us their best offer? Because we're not loving what we're getting. And so you and I thought, hey, let's come up with our favorite wild card offers. There's, frankly, with how long this has been lingering, maybe not a whole ton of teams that we have not at least considered, but what came to mind for you when you thought of who's just going to surprise us in a Shams tweet this week or something that poked around?
Well, I think the Clippers are a team that makes a little bit of sense for the Suns. And I think the Clippers and Nets in a 3-team deal would make some sort of sense. I've kind of seen the framework for this before, but if you could figure out a way to get Nick Claxton to Phoenix, you solve your center problem, right? And then you also find a way to get 1 or 2 pieces from the Clippers, but it doesn't even have to be that. Maybe it's just the Clippers straight up. James Harden, first-round pick for this year, and you look at their trade assets over the next couple of seasons, they have a couple of different ones that they could pick from. I believe 2032 would be in play if you're the Clippers. I'd have to look at that one again. But James Harden, salary cap filler, those types of things as well, to be able to bring those types of players to the Suns. But you look at their 2026, the 2027 first-round pick, 2030 first-round pick, 2031, they have those distant picks to trade. And if you get a James Harden and Derrick Jones Jr., there you go. You're talking about 2 guys that can help you out now, and potentially
Doesn't
2.
seem like Harden has been in anything I've seen, though. We're talking wild cards. We're getting imaginative here, but
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, because the things that I've actually heard from the Clippers, that's a lot.
It's a lot of Norman Powell.
Yeah,
it's a lot of if you want to talk about those deals, I mean, listen, man, I still might do those ones more, but Norman Powell, Derrick Jones Jr., Bogdan Bogdanovic, if you could do that deal right there, listen, I don't like that. I don't love the deal, but at this point, I'm going more picks. So if I get the 2031 first-round pick and another first-round pick,
I only do that trade with a heavier pick package.
I hate this deal, by the way.
I have a really good idea that I am going to flip those picks for somebody almost immediately, right? If I say we're going to go get Lauri Markkanen or fill in the blanks with some star type player who reasonably could be gotten this summer. If it's just keep the picks and cross your fingers and then put Derrick Jones and Norm Powell out there to play with Book, we're going to be talking about Book trades by December.
Sure.
That's what it is.
But we might already be doing that, man. And so when you talk about our favorite trades, the ones
just call the Spurs back and say, let's do it. Give me a Vassell in 14.
But if I could get extra first-round picks from the Clippers, or if it gets creative, right? I do think the Nets would be an interesting play there. You could potentially bring Claxton here, Derrick Jones Jr., and get a first-round pick. That's interesting as well. I think I've seen that before as well, written by Yahoo. I think I had that up from earlier, but
Claxton's been a popular one.
They're not great, man. The other options aren't
great.
great.
To see something where Brooklyn's actually willing to give Claxton up. People are just sort of oh, they're bad. Let's just take one of their better players off of their team, and then that fills the Suns' need. It's I think Nick Claxton is a pretty good player, but I don't know if he's available.
Man, it's so funny because I'm eating my own words here. I feel the same way you do, where everyone just throws Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson in trades and are just throw the Nets another first-round pick. They'll do it. They'll deal with it.
Cam, I think, is available because that one's been out there for a little bit. Even before he got his new contract, there was talk about that. But now it's with Claxton. Yeah, it's confusing. But I don't think people are surprised to hear me say that mine is
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I've said it before. It's really the same thing. And, people didn't love that I threw Ron Holland in there. You could do any number of players. I don't think Asar Thompson would be available, but the construction in general would be based on Tobias Harris and Isaiah Stewart, and then add whatever young player you like from the Pistons. And then they have all of their future picks after this season. They also have the 37th overall pick this year. And you just kind of mix and match depending on what interests you. Maybe you could get Jaden Ivey. I think that might be a touch too much money, but maybe not. If the Pistons really got crazy, Asar Thompson. I don't know. If Katie doesn't want to go to Minnesota, he certainly doesn't want to go to Detroit. So that's why I just don't think they're going to give up their top guys. And I think Holland's a cut below their most valuable young players. But the Pistons kind of strike me as a team that might just say, to hell with it and try it out, because I think they'd be really good with Kevin Durant, and they already were a competitive first-round team last year.
If you're talking about a deal, and you came up with this, so I do like this obscure trade. I'm not gonna act like I had this before. The Clippers and teams like that are like the obscure ones, and the Pelicans as well. But like you talk about the Pistons, man. If you could get Tobias Harris, which God, guys, it's salary cap filler. No one really gives a damn after that. He's not gonna be on this team post next year if he's on this team. But if you get Isaiah Stewart, Jaden Ivey, and a first-round pick, like I don't think you're talking about. Like, I think you're talking about a pretty good haul. Where, like, Jaden Ivey's a good player.
And it's Holland, who can't really shoot right now.
I'd probably still do it because I like the draft picks better. I don't like him as much. Like,
well,
and I like
Isaiah might be kind of weaker with Detroit if I'm being honest with you because they're good.
But I like Isaiah Stewart also vastly more than Devin Vassell. Like, I already have my Devin Vassell and Ryan Dunn. We need a spacing center.
Vassell plays more like Booker, unfortunately, even though he should play more like Ryan Dunn.
When I say that, I mean more like a wing. Like, I would agree with you as well, but just more of a wing type guy. I like Isaiah Stewart more than that. I think I've talked to Locked On Pistons about this before, but like, if you could get a Sore Thompson, I don't even care about getting a first round pick. Like, if I can get a Sore,
they're not.
But I just don't. I don't think it's happening.
I think Detroit is the type of team where KD legit might just not extend. Like he might actually risk.
There's no shot.
Risk playing out the season because the Pistons would be just they're always chaotic. Their ownership is not great, and they're not really close to winning a title immediately. So I don't know. That
in the East,
really
are they not still? Are they not contenders in the East with KD?
I need to see them do anything as a team. Their average age is like 23, so I can't. It's just kind of similar with the Spurs, except at least the Spurs have Fox. You know, what about what other ones do you have?
I looked at the Pelicans because it could be interesting, right? Could you take on their dirty laundry of Zion Williamson and another piece, but get heavy draft capital back? Then they get to keep their guy in Trey Murphy, or even potentially, like, I know that money doesn't work this way to add both those guys, but like, could you get Trey Murphy? Could you package one of your 3 first-round picks in Kevin Durant and get Trey Murphy?
Getting Zion and Trey Murphy.
No. The money doesn't work. The money doesn't work.
Even if the money worked, that's too much for Durant.
Well, I think there is a world. Sure, agreed. I am downplaying.
Murphy's like a borderline all-star. So
no.
If it's him, that's kind of the thing. Like that's the value you're getting, and then
I think that's probably it's probably not attainable. But if you could get Zion Williamson and you look at their roster, CJ McCollum, and you look at some of their picks, like, listen, man, could you get their 2025, 2026, and both of their 2026 first round picks? Like 3 first round picks, you take on Zion, you bring back CJ McCollum. Again, sure. I'm focusing more on picks, man. I'm not focusing more on the players at this point.
For sure. They have, maybe it has to be like
that's
McCollum
where I'm going
to Jones or something, and you don't even get Murphy or Zion, and you get some of their lower tier type players. But they have 7 and 23 this year. You can't trade picks back to back, so they couldn't give you their 26 picks.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Their 25
that's
picks.
right.
But they have 2 this year. That's a good starting point, you know. So no, I don't think it's crazy, but you would probably only be talking about them wanting KD if they're keeping Zion. I mean, the idea, what is KD plus their role players next season? That's not a very good team. So I think that they would want to pair those guys. Maybe Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, and a bunch of picks. Could you get Yves Missi or something? I don't know.
Could you get
Jordan
Zion?
Hawkins, you know.
Here. Oh, I like Jordan Hawkins. That's an obscure player right there that I like from UConn. But could you get Zion, Herb Jones, and a first-round pick? I mean, that's a gamble, man. But I think they're so willing to get off of Zion that they might add those players.
I don't think they're so willing to get off of Zion. They basically shut that down the minute that they hired Joe Dumars. It's not there's a Zion sweepstakes.
Until Zion Williamson started to get in trouble with potentially the law, with all the accusations
we haven't
he got
heard
against him.
More recently that they're trying. I mean, no one would take him probably right now, but I don't think. I haven't heard that they're trying to do that. So
listen, man, you said obscure. I'm giving you obscure.
We're doing it. We're just talking it out once we get to him. My last one would be Denver. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
But I still just think it's not as bad of a package as some people might say, especially as we've gone through this whole process, and it's not as if there's a bunch of other great stuff on the table right now. So If you're telling me it's Michael Porter Jr., Zeke Naji, and Peyton Watson and a pick, I mean, I can't really get too mad at that at the end of the day. So it surprises me we haven't heard that at all. It may just be that Denver is cheap and that would make them more expensive and they're just not willing to do it. But I did think we would at least hear, hey, the Nuggets poked around.
Any deal that gets me Christian Brown, I do. Like, of course, I reasonably add me a filler and a pick, like reasonable. Maybe it's one, whatever, like I'm doing it. I just like that kid, man. I just like him, and I like his ability to be a number 4 or 5 on a championship winning team one day that he'll be a part of in 3 years when the Suns are back to being that kind of team.
Whether it's the 9th overall pick, the 10th, the 14th, heck, maybe even the 17th, the Suns do figure to get another draft asset in the first half of the first round next week. So we're going to talk about one more player who could be on their radar from just down south next. First today's show brought to you by the Gametime app, the best place to buy any ticket. There's nothing like the NBA Finals, though. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live, and this year's matchup is already delivering. If you want in, Gametime makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Gametime is a total game changer. We got the D-backs hopefully showing signs of life here in the Valley. We've got the Mercury whole and healthy with their big 3 and a surprise strong start. We also have the Gold Cup here at the end of the month in Glendale, and tons of concerts, comedy, all the types of shows you love. Get indoors if you want to as well this summer, and take the guesswork out of buying all those tickets with the Gametime app. Download it now, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Ben, let's quickly talk through Carter Bryant, the 6'8"
This dude's polarizing.
freshman forward from the University of Arizona. He is 19 now. I believe he will be 20 come draft night. He's 19 and a half, so definitely by opening night is what I meant to say. He will be in his age 20 season. And he's raw. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He wasn't even a starter for Arizona. Started 5 out of 37 games. Only took, I guess if you're going per 40 minutes and not docking him for the low minutes total, he took 6 threes per 40 minutes, 37%, but he wasn't a great free throw shooter. That total volume of threes was only 100. And I wouldn't say he did a heck of a lot else for you.
Nope.
And so he is somebody that you are betting can fill in that 3-and-D role, and ideally, because he is so young and you're drafting him in the lottery, if you are, getting maybe even better than that and turning into a real, plus starting forward. Do you think, from what you kind of checked out today and us poking around and digging in on this guy, that he can be that? What do you think?
I really like Carter Bryant, but I also really hate Carter Bryant. That's where I'm at, because if you looked at 12 minutes of Carter Bryant's best moments at U of A, you'd be like, damn. It'd actually be more like 6 minutes and hoping you could get another 6 minutes. I want to ask you, man, where do you think this guy goes? Is he a consensus top 10 guy? Because I keep on seeing him mocked like 8 to 12 at most. Like, I don't think he'd be there at 14. Where would you think he would go?
It's really hard to know. He's really up and down in terms of not so much the mocks, because the mocks are kind of goofy up until like maybe right now, in my opinion. But in terms of the big board, the people who break this stuff down for a living, he's 12th at ESPN, which they basically, Jonathan Gavoni over there, they try to do like a consensus. They do it based on intel, not their own opinion. So the league seems to maybe have him around 12th. The Ringer, J. Kyle Mann has him 6th, so he really likes him.
I don't
and
get
then
it.
Kevin O'Connor at Yahoo has him 17th. So it's really all over the place in terms of what people think of him. I'm trying to see what he's a legit 6'8". Like there is something. To be said
he's
for
a big
that.
player,
and he has a 7-foot wingspan. So that is stuff you can't teach size. Like we can do that whole thing with him, but it's betting a lot on development is what I would say.
Yes. Like, here's my thing. If the Suns drafted him at, like, let's say they took the Raptors trade and they took him at 9, I understand. I'd see the vision. I get the raw talent that could be there. I'd be a little annoyed. If they took him at 17, I'm like, love this guy. Sure. Because he could, 45% on open catch and shoot threes, 38% on spot up threes, pretty good defensive player, 6% block rate, but he wasn't used a lot. His usage rate was like 13%. And I think, here's an interesting stat for you. He didn't have one play of ISO ball all year. He only ran the pick and roll where he was the guy with the basketball 22 times all year. Now you can talk about.
He's not supposed to be doing that right now, right?
Well, that's fine.
Caleb Love's there.
Exactly. To my point, like you could point to Caleb Love, high usage, shot chucker. It's U of A, right? It's a basketball factory. But doesn't seem like he dribbles the ball super well. So I worry about the playmaking ability and creating your own shot. I don't even know what to compliment, man, because I do see it. When you look at him and you see some of the athleticism and his defensive ability, which is pretty good, you're like, damn, this guy's pretty good, but there's just not a lot on him. He wasn't used a lot at U of A, 6 points per game. So he's interesting, man.
There wasn't a way to use him, right? It's not like I don't want to dock him for it because,
Okay.
Well,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Thing about young players in the draft, it'd be like saying, that Nick Richards didn't shoot threes. Well, it's like, he can't. What are we supposed to? I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like that's kind of just where it is. It's a lot based on what he could be, and that's what makes, I think, for especially people like us, it's just a really hard player to get your arms around. It's not like he didn't play any minutes or there was no tape of him or anything.
He played 20 minutes.
It's just hard.
He was a valuable asset to this team. There's just not a lot of him on the court. And I go back to the playmaking ability and his handles. Like, obviously the dude knows how to dribble the ball with his left hand, but I'm just saying, like,
it's non-existent right now.
It's not a strong suit, and he did have a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Like, is that going to get better in college?
And he's a role player. So, if he was good at what you're talking about, he'd be the number 3 overall pick. If he was 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan and could create his own shot, we're talking about Ace Bailey or something. Like that would be a different player. So, taking him with what he is, you're hoping that probably the baseline assumption, if he's going in the lottery, is he is just a role player. Like you talked about comps, Trey Murphy, who we were just talking about, that's what Yahoo has. I can see that. The Ringer has guys like Marvin Williams once upon a time, which fits because he was also a bench guy in college. They have Tari Eason. Tamani Kamara actually is on here. Jordan Walsh, who the Celtics drafted a little while ago, who hasn't really played for them, but was a high second-round pick a few years back. He had a nice block rate for a freshman. He was 6% of the shots that were taken while he was on the court. That's pretty elite for a forward.
Yeah,
that's
it's really good. Really good.
That's kind of like what centers have sometimes. 3% steal rate, pretty good too. And he made his threes. He took a lot of threes and made a lot of threes. So I guess if you're just saying could he be that, that's not bad. But I think I agree with you. I would be careful of having him too high, given that I don't have the time to dig in and say, I think his mid-range pull-up is actually more advanced than the average person. I don't know that stuff. So at face value, I would probably say if they picked him with the Spurs pick, if they picked him with the Wolves pick, I would be content with that.
Okay.
If they reach for him at 9 or 10 with Toronto or Houston's pick, I might be a little nervous. I would probably prefer, given the stakes we started the show with, as much as you don't want that to affect things, it has to a little, and I would probably be nervous about he could just be a 0 or a negative in year 1.
You are oftentimes the more level-headed one. So when I'm watching and reading about him, I I would be nervous. Like, I can totally see the upside, but I would be nervous to take him at 9. If he's there at 14, the Suns take him. I get it. Raw talent, probably a high floor, good role player. I get it. But at 9, I'm just hoping for something a little bit better and a little bit more of a sure thing. And I wonder, like, there's just not a lot on him with the actual basketball. Like, there's a lot of him running around and playing good defense. So we already got that guy last year, and that was Ryan Dunn. So the offensive production, I just wish we saw more of it. Although if someone told me he's going to be awesome, I would believe it, but I'd agree with you. 14, 17, sure. 9th pick, I'd have some questions.
That'll wrap us up. Hit follow, hit subscribe if you have not already. We'll have one more episode for you at least, unless the KD trade goes down at an unexpected time. So hit those buttons. Be right here, and we'll catch you tomorrow.